No little tough love here. You are what stands in the way. You are probably the problem. But with that, you are also the solution. You're one new thought, one new action, one more follow through, one courageous act away from finding the solution or from fixing the problem. If you want a different outcome from your life, if you want to feel more productive, you want to stop feeling lazy, you want to stop feeling like you're behind, you want to stop feeling like you aren't good enough, you're going to have to act differently. Try something new, try something hard, push and expand yourself. Hey, it's Carly Burr, and welcome back to Taking Life Offline. Have you ever heard the famous quote by Henry Ford that goes, "Whether you think you can or you think you can't, you are right"? I was thinking about this quote. It came to my mind a little bit ago as I was reflecting on a book I read about 6 years ago by Carol S. Dweck called Mindset. Maybe you've heard of it, maybe you've read it before. I absolutely love this book, and I have a couple of things that have just stuck with me over these years from reading this book, which is how you know it's a good book, is if you take things and apply them and actually remember them years down the road. So a couple of things that stuck with me from reading this book were the mindsets that she talks about. She talks about the fixed mindset and the growth mindset. If you're unfamiliar, here's what these two mindsets mean. The growth mindset means that you believe that your abilities can be improved upon, they can be developed over time. The fixed mindset is that you're the way you are. Nothing's going to change. It's all predetermined. This is who you are, and it is set in stone. Aside from those two mindsets, there is one part of the book that really stuck out to me as well. And it's where she talked about how to develop the growth mindset in children. And I didn't have any kids at the time of reading this book, but I hoped to one day have kids. And now that I'm sitting here right now, I'm glad that I locked away this part of her book into my vault for remember this when you have kids someday. So I often find myself right now, as I have an almost 3-year-old, applying what she taught in her book. And I'm sure I'm not going to say exactly how she says it in the book. I'm not going to give the exact example, but I'm pretty sure it goes something like this. This is what at least is in the vault from when I read this about 6 years ago. She talks about your child comes home and say they have a paper and they got an A. Instead of being like, "Oh my goodness, you're so smart, you're so amazing." Well, it's okay to say those things. She suggests that you put the emphasis on the work that is required in order to get the A. So your kid comes home with a paper that has an A and you say, "Oh my goodness, I remember watching you study so hard to practice for that test that you could get a good grade. That was so amazing that you were able to put in the effort to be able to get that A. You're great. Good job." So putting that emphasis on the work that they put in order to get that result. So I loved that, and I'm applying it right now to my almost 3-year-old with other scenarios, but I think that it's such a easy shift to make, and also just a little add. Like, I still tell her she's amazing, I still tell her that she's smart, but just to add that part of the emphasis on the work that she put in so that she knows that effort puts forth these good results. I love the black and white of these two mindsets, of the fixed and the growth mindset. And if you think about the quote that I shared earlier, Henry Ford's quote, it actually applies perfectly to these two mindsets. Whether you think you can, growth, or you think you can't, fixed, you are right. This is such great news in my mind because it means that we are in control. If we find ourselves with the fixed mindset, we can then choose to practice and adopt the growth mindset instead. And wow, let me tell you, if you can go from a fixed mindset to a growth mindset, your life will dramatically change. Now let's put this into an example that may apply to you. So you think you can't delete social media because you've tried 1,000 times in the past and you've relapsed every single time. There's just no way that you could quit social media because you tried. You can't seem to find another way to stay connected with people. You can't seem to find another way to grow your business. You can't seem to find another way to stay in the know. It just doesn't work for you. That is the fixed mindset, my friend. Now let's explore what the growth might look like. So I've tried to delete social media a handful of times, maybe more than a handful of times if I'm being completely honest, and I just haven't seemed to be able to figure out how to successfully be able to close that chapter for good yet. But I know that if I keep trying new things, if I go in with a new approach this time, I'll be able to figure it out. I know that I can learn from my past experiences. I know that I just need to keep trying new things, keep putting forth the effort, and eventually I'm confident that I'll be able to figure out what is going to work best for me. This is something that really matters to me in my life, so I'm going to get there no matter what it takes. Now that's a lot better. Can you feel the difference? Can you feel the difference in energy behind those two mindsets? I mean, it's a night and a day difference. Imagine if you chose to embody the growth mindset today. Imagine the world of possibility that would open up to you. Suddenly you could find yourself going from stuck, from stagnant, and maybe even complacent to, let's see what I can do. I can figure this out. I am in control of my destiny. That is how I hope all of us can choose to move through life. I just love these two mindsets because I believe it doesn't allow room for excuses. It puts you and your mindset in control. You want to improve your mental health, you want to get fit, you want to improve your relationship with your spouse, you can make changes. You can change the direction that your life is headed in any area. You can change your mindset about the way that you think and the way that you physically do things in these areas or any area of your life. Now, a little tough love here. You are what stands in the way. You are probably the problem. But with that, you are also the solution. You're one new thought, one new action, one more follow through, one courageous act away from finding the solution or from fixing the problem. If you want a different outcome from your life, if you want to feel more productive, you want to stop feeling lazy, you want to stop feeling like you're behind, you want to stop feeling like you aren't good enough, you're going to have to act differently. Try something new, try something hard, push and expand yourself. You absolutely do not have to do what the world tells you to do. With the growth mindset, you can pave your own path. You can do life differently. You can do life in the way that is most fulfilling to you, in the way that is most expansive to you, in the way that feels the best to you, regardless if it looks like anything that those around you or the world seems to be doing. So my action for you to take today is to identify which mindset you often find yourself embodying the most, and to make the shift, make the change, make the conscious adjustment to embody the growth mindset. We have the ability to choose growth, to choose change, to choose progression throughout our life. So with this awareness, let's choose to choose continual growth throughout our life, to choose a life of learning, to take action and new action where needed. Let's choose to push our limits and see just what we're capable of. We're not here to stay the same. We're not here to stay stuck. We are not here to be complacent. Let's put in the work and become all that we can be. Let's try to determine God's will for us while we are here and embrace it wholeheartedly. And if it feels impossible, remember the growth mindset. Make it part of you, part of your being. And before you know it, you'll find yourself feeling so at peace, so aligned as you find yourself stepping into the person that He sent you, yes, you specifically, here to be. Thank you so much for listening to another episode of Taking Life Offline. I hope that this episode today inspires you to take action into adopting the growth mindset in your life today. If you have a friend who could benefit from also being encouraged to adopt the growth mindset, please share this episode with them and rate and review the show on podcasts if you're listening there. That way we can help more people find us on this path less traveled. Thank you so much in advance. I appreciate you more than you could know, and I will catch you next Monday.